Establishing yourself as a valuable employee can be helpful when starting a new job or positioning yourself for career advancements. Whether you are sharing a positive attitude or offering to train colleagues, knowing how to show your dedication to the company is important when trying to prove your usefulness as a team member. Now, your job is an opportunity to contribute a value to your company in excess of your cost. In its simplest terms, your job is as secure as your ability to render value in excess of what it costs to keep you on the payroll. If you want to earn more money at your current job, you have to increase your value, and your contribution to the enterprise is premium. If you want to get a new job, you have to find a way to contribute value to that enterprise and show that you are worthy to be part of it. Now, if you also want that kind of job and ensure that you have the security that you need, it is important that you are the kind of person that is marketable to that particular company or to that particular establishment, so as to ensure that that business is competitive on the global markets. Now, on this week's episode of Career Hub, powered by the African Talent Company, we will be looking at how to increase your value at your place of work. And so joining me is Jemima Ashietey, who is the head of marketing, Jobberman from Ghana. Thank you so much, Jemima, for joining on Business Edge.
Thank you too for having me.
Let's use you as a case study. How do you measure your personal impact and contribution at your place of work, most especially the way you relate with your team members and, of course, your deliverable to the organization?
Okay, so I think first of all, as a business, they have a goal and objectives. And you should make sure that your personal contribution aligns to these goals and objectives. So for instance, for me, we set OKRs or KPIs, however we want to call it. And per the KPIs, I make sure that every activity or every strategy that I'm actually embarking on is going to support this particular goal. So I measure my impact by, okay, we're supposed to achieve X amount of something. What measures have I taken in place to make sure that I've actually achieved that or I've actually exceeded that? And I am fortunate to work with a team. So I make sure that I also bring my team along and make sure that we are all in sync with whatever we are doing. So what we are doing should not be parallel to the business goal, but rather should be in sync with the business goal. And that's how we are able to measure our impact and how we are able to contribute to the overall organization goals. Yeah.
So then, how do you think an employee can determine or know the mission statements or maybe the vision and the mission of a particular organization so that that person can fit into the picture of what the organization is hoping to achieve?
So I believe like everybody who joins a business, the onus is on you to know what your mission statement is. Aside that, I mean, we go through onboarding where the HR takes you through what the mission, the vision, and the plan of the business is. Also, managers usually go through what the objectives and KPIs are for it. So as an employee, you should make sure that you know these things and know where you stand in this pipeline or this process. So even if yours is not the final output, you know that I need to do this so that I enable somebody else's business. If I don't do this, I'm going to impact someone negatively. So everybody's action is always supposed to sync back to the overall goal. So no matter where you are in the organizational channel or chat, you should know that your impact or your output will be someone's impact or someone's input. So we should always make sure that we are aligned and be a part of the company and not just be an addition, but always make sure we are driving impact and value to the business.
All right. Well, the world is going tech now. Everybody's becoming internet compliant, and businesses are trying to scale up their operations to see how they can leverage on technology to spread their tentacles and reach out to the entire globe. Now, what is the place of technology or automating your services or your deliverables for an organization so that you can improve on your tasks for the day and, of course, help the company grow?
Okay. So the bottom line is efficiency, and it's always about how do I reduce the bottlenecks in what I'm doing. So for instance, if we are producing water, and after we get to a certain stage in our pipeline or in a certain stage in the process, we realize that this place is getting slower just because maybe we don't have a machine or some processes are not automated. We have to look at, okay, what can we do to make sure that we are reducing the bottleneck here so that we can move faster? That's the same way when you're doing work, you have to look at, okay, which of these processes can we automate such that it's easier for us to even get like other projects on board or focus on other things. So for instance, if you have to automate certain processes, now you freeze up some time. Now that time that you have, you can use it to look into, okay, how best can I improve something else, or how can I double my sale? And that is where we become more efficient when we rely on technology and automate our processes. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Now, let's also look at the industry trends that are coming up now. You discover that different companies are trying to evolve. They're trying to change their modes of operation. They're trying to break barriers and advance in the field of their endeavor. Now, how do you think a candidate or an employee can actually stay above the curve and stay relevant even as the company is trying to grow? You are also working towards that direction. How do you think an employee can achieve that?
Okay, so this is about personal or continuous learning. One should always aspire to develop themselves more and always be abreast with industry standards. So, for instance, if you started, for instance, the industry I find myself, we were doing listing, but we realized that we have to evolve. Our clients want more. What is the end goal? They want the right fit. So now we are moving from that listing to a matching. And so we need to always look at what can we do internally. So as for me, the employer or the employee, I look at, okay, how do I also make myself relevant in this business? So now I also have to start researching, developing myself, learning other ways to make sure that I am fitting in the company's direction so that I don't be left out. But once you don't do that and you are left out, you realize that your value or your skills that you are offering do not match the company's fit. So once the company wants to downsize, you'll be the person they begin to look at. So once you begin to improve yourself, continue to learn, you realize that whenever there's even an opportunity to upskill or even advance in your career, you'll be the person that they'll look out for. So we always have to make sure that we continue to learn, look at what is new in the industry, what is the technology that is coming, how do we make sure that we are abreast with everything and make sure we are very relevant in the roles that we find ourselves.
But then where do you draw the line when it comes to learning and relearning? Would you need to rely on what the company provides in terms of internal training, or you would have to go out of your way to acquire those trainings for yourself? Which would you advocate for?
So I think a mix of it is the best. Obviously, if there's a gap where the company can support, definitely you can let your manager know that, okay, this is what I've realized that we need to be ahead in that industry. If it fits in the current plan, of course, any manager would want to do this. Also, if it's something that you don't need the company to support, sometimes if there's a free resources or even something that you might even commit to a little fee to it, why not go ahead and do it yourself? Because at the end of the day, it's about the value that you're also adding to yourself, not just the business. Because when you move away and you want to go to your next business, you have built the value for yourself. So at the end of the day, it's not just the onus is on the employer or the organization to support you, but you also have to support yourself.
All right. Well, earlier on, you talked about companies having new directives, trying to, move forward in terms of their vision and scale up their deliverables, most especially their services and operations to their clients. But then for an employee who understands his skill sets, his limitations and delimitations, how would you say it is important for that person to want to take up lead key roles for projects or maybe in new initiatives that will benefit the company? Because for some people, they might consider themselves latent or they might consider themselves not being able to meet up with the requirements to drive a particular kind of project. But then, how do you think that person can also see himself as a valuable entity when it comes to driving this kind of key conversations for a company?
Okay. So sometimes you don't know until you try. And if you have a business that is ready to support you and you have a team that is ready to support you, go for it. That is how you learn. Because when we don't push ourselves beyond the limits, we will never know our capability or our capacity. So I would say challenge yourself. Always question the results. Okay, I did this and I arrived at this. Is this the best result I can ever get? If there's no, or you feel there's even a better way, why not challenge it and go for it? Because if you don't take that leadership role or you don't take the lead on projects, how would they even entrust bigger roles or bigger opportunities to you? So it's about demonstrating even the smaller wins so that people can say, oh, okay, we can trust this guy. He can go ahead to do this. Let's give him more. Let's give him more opportunity. And that is where you realize that you are actually growing yourself. It can be scary in the beginning just because you feel you don't have the skill set, but it's just maybe you haven't applied yourself yet. So once you begin to apply yourself and you challenge yourself, you realize that, oh, it was not that hard. Yes, it might be hard in the beginning, but I have learned and come out of it. And also when you take a project and you fail, learn quickly. Look at what didn't work. How can I improve? Make sure that you are turning the failure to positivity. Look at the process that you did. Is it the process I did? What other outcome can I get? And then you look at the alternative to it. So it's very important that we apply ourselves, challenge ourselves, and also learn quickly from projects that are given to us.
All right. There's some people or some employees within an organization that they are optimal in terms of performance. We call them utility men or utility women. Why? Because they are versatile and they can, do as many things as they can within a space of time. But then for people like that, they might have issues with concentration and the deliverables. So how do you now balance your responsibilities with the enormous workload that you might have for that particular day, and also be able to optimize your time and energy during a specific period of time?
Okay, so it's key that you should know if you have a team. If you have a team, work with your team, rely on your team strength. See, everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. Who excels at this? Let the person champion it, and delegate when you can. Because if you have a team and you don't bring your team along, one, you burn out, and then two, you also don't do your team a favor, so you don't grow your team members. So delegate, but don't leave it or relegate it completely to them. Make sure you are bringing them up to speed, correcting them where there needs to be corrections, and make sure that you are leveraging on the people's strength to be able to have time to maximize your project well. And then you can also have a good work balance life. But if you don't do that, you realize that you carry everything on you. You become drained and you are not able to give yourself or you give your full impact in the long end run just because you didn't leverage on your team.
All right, this is an interesting one. You talked about teamwork, but then there are some people who are, in terms of pace, cannot match up with your kind of pace. And there are others too who would outpace you in terms of your deliverables. But then how do you maintain a positive relationship with maybe your coworkers, your supervisors, stakeholders, as it were, to achieve a common goal?
Okay, so the point is we need to not only have hard skill, but also have soft skill. So we should learn how to collaborate. We should learn how to be a team player. We should learn how to have interpersonal skills. We should learn how to communicate. The point is we are all not equal. Someone will be faster than you, someone will be slower than you. But once you realize their strength and their weaknesses, you should be able to leverage and know how to use this to your advantage. So that is why we must know how to collaborate. It's very key because we don't work in silos, we work with a team. So it's very key to learn these kind of soft skills so that we are able to fit in and communicate effectively with everybody, because you need to be able to engage with your co-workers, your supervisors, your superiors, and even your bosses, and sometimes even with customers. So if you don't have these kind of skills readily available to you, you'll be found wanting. And that is where you begin to realize that, oh, this, I don't fit in this team, but in reality, that is not the case. It's just because you have not applied the soft skills that you need to for the job.
All right. Earlier on, you talked about making yourself available to assume the lead role for key projects, so that, of course, if you're successful in that, you'll be apportioned more key and sensitive other kind of projects, as it were. But in the process whereby you're trying to impress and improve, there's a possibility that you might lose track and you might derail, so to speak. So what are those key considerations that you feel employees should look out for when it comes to impressing and being more better, or increasing their value even as they try to become better during the course of their tasks?
Okay, so I feel keep track of everything that you're doing. It's easier if you are someone who writes something down. Make sure you're keeping track of it. If you use a task manager, make sure you keep using that as well, because it can get overwhelming. You may have your own projects or your own day-to-day, but there's a different project and you want to challenge yourself and you go for it. If you're not keeping track, you might lose sight of your own projects. And at the end of the day, your employer or your boss will not be happy with you just because your main task, you didn't fulfill it and you are rather looking elsewhere. So if we are not able to champion our tasks better and give value at that place, and we are looking elsewhere, that is where we realize that we have challenge. So make sure we keep track of what we are doing. Make sure we do it effectively and efficiently. And then when you are actually taking up more stuff, to be an advocate for yourself, let people know your wins, no matter how little they are. Let them know your wins. That's the way we are able to communicate to our bosses and tell them that, hey, I was able to do X, Y, Z. Own the channel, own the space. Make sure you are vocal about whatever you do. And then when you also need help, shout, because we cannot do it all. That is why we have bosses, we have supervisors. When you come to a standstill, speak to your boss. They have been there before. I know some people might not do it for you, which is the best, but they will direct you in the way that you can do it so that you get a better outcome. So leverage on your team, leverage on your bosses, shout when you need to, when you need help, and make sure that you are also an advocate for yourself.
All right, I am a bit particular about the motive behind you wanting to increase your KPIs. Should there be an end goal to wanting to improve on your performance? Maybe to get a raise in terms of remuneration, or maybe to rise up the ladder, or maybe it's just going to be about passion. Now, should there be an end goal?
I feel everybody has a career objective. So find it within yourself. What do you want to achieve? Obviously, you're giving value. You obviously also want value for yourself. Your end goal could be a salary raise. Your end goal could be a career advancement. Your end goal could be even building yourself for your next opportunity. So yes, we should all have a goal in mind, but it's specific to who you are or what you want it to be. And don't downplay whatever gives you that motivation for you to want to do that. So even if it's you want more remuneration, yes, let's agree your goal, but make sure you're applying yourself and learning. At the end of the day, it's about developing yourself first and making sure that you're adding more value to the business.
All right, finally, before I let you go, Jemima, now it could be demoralizing when you are giving so much to an organization, but then you are not being recognized or awarded. For some organizations, they would give you a memo if you've done something wrong, but a memo of recognition will not be given to you when you've done something right or you have contributed much to that company. So for an employee who has done so much for an organization, and the supervisor or maybe the manager or even the company are not even noticing the value that you're bringing to the table, what do you think such a person should do?
I mean, like you said, it can be demotivation if you're putting in all the efforts and the right people are not acknowledging it. But I think, as I had said before, the ultimate goal lies with you. What is your objective? Is it self-development? Is it a career advancement? Is it for the salary? It's what you want to gain. At the end of the day, if you walk away from the business that day, it's what you have gained and what you can go and sell to yourself for your next business. So it's even how you will be able to market yourself that I've been able to achieve XYZ. Also, I mentioned about being an advocate for yourself. Make sure that you talk about all that you have achieved. Make sure, I know people have regular appraisal meetings, bring it up. Once you are able to even document, I think I had mentioned that make sure you document your process and keep track of all that you're doing. When you're doing your appraisals, even the little wins, make them known. Speak up about it. Let your boss know, hey, I was able to do XYZ. I was able to support these people with this. Make sure you are having that dialogue with your boss for them to understand where you are and how you are putting your impact into the business, so that even if they don't see, at least you've been able to advocate for yourself. You're able to say that, hey, I did this, I did that, I did that. And nobody would dispute something, especially if you have the evidence to back them. So like I said, always keep track, always note all that you've done, and then always advocate for yourself. And at the end of the day, you are boosting yourself, you're boosting your own career advancement, you're making yourself better for the next role, or even if you want to become an entrepreneur afterwards, it's all for your own sake. So there is that bright side that you have to always look out for.
So invariably, it's all about self-growth, self-development, and clarity of purpose. Of course, you cannot give what you don't have, and a company cannot grow if you yourself are not plugging yourself in avenues that will help you grow. All right, thank you so much, Jemima. It's been very insightful having you talk to us about career growth and how to improve our value at work. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.